Welcome back to Scott's Winning Sports Day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back by myself. My dad's at work. Let's get into the predictions right now. First game out, Virginia and Louisville tonight. I'm going to go with Louisville. Louisville's been playing very well so far this season, so I'm going to take Louisville at home over Virginia. Next up, Oklahoma State and UCF here at the Bounce House. I'm going to take UCF to pull off the upset. I think Oklahoma State's coming off a big win last week. I think they're going to be in a little bit of a letdown game this week. I'm going to take UCF, and I'm going to take the under in this game. 64.5 is a little bit too many points for me to take here, so I'm going to take UCF to win, and I'll take the under this week. Next up, Florida and LSU. I need to see what's going on with Jaden Daniels to see if he's 100% healthy. If he is, I'm definitely taking LSU in this game. I think LSU is going to bounce back after losing to Alabama last week. I think they get back on track at home. Night game in Tiger Stadium. I think that'll be enough. I'll take LSU at home over Florida. Next up, Michigan and Penn State. I'm going to take Michigan. I think Michigan's been doing very well this year, so I will take Michigan at home on the road in Beaver Stadium against Penn State. Next up, Alabama and Kentucky. Should be a good game here. Again, big game last week. Could be a little bit of a letdown, but I think Alabama's got things figured out now. I'll take Alabama to get the win on the road against Kentucky. Next up, Texas Tech and Kansas. I'm going to take Kansas at home. I think Kansas has been playing very well this year. Kansas could be a team that could make the Big 12 championship game right now. I'll take Kansas over Texas Tech. Next up, Tulsa and Tulane. I will take Tulane. I think Tulane's been playing very well. They're the clear favorite to get the New Year's Six spot like they did last year. I'll go with Tulane at home over Tulsa. Next up, Arizona going on the road to Boulder to take on Colorado. I will take Arizona. I think Arizona's been very good this year, surprisingly good. I will take Arizona to get the win on the road against Colorado. Next up, Baylor and Kansas State. I'm going to go with Kansas State. I think Will Howard will play well enough this week. If he's still the starter for Kansas State, I haven't really been paying much attention to that. But I'll take K-State at home over Baylor. Next up, Miami and Florida State. This game used to be one of the best games of the year until Miami fell off a cliff. I'll take Florida State at home. I think Florida State's on their way to making the playoff probably. I'll take Florida State at home over Miami. Next up, Utah and Washington. This game should be very, very good. Would be better if Cam Rising was playing, but unfortunately, I think he's going to redshirt this year and probably come back next year for Utah. So I'm going to go with Washington to get the win at home over Utah. Next up, Tennessee and Missouri. Two teams that have been doing very well this year. I'm going to go with Missouri at home. I think Missouri's a little bit better than Tennessee is right now. So I'll take Missouri at home over Tennessee. Next up, Rutgers and Iowa. I'm going to go with Iowa at home. I think Iowa's been playing very well this year defensively. Offensively, it's another story, but I think Iowa will do enough this week at home to get it done against Rutgers. Next up, Stanford and Oregon State. I'm going to go with Oregon State here. I think Oregon State's been playing very, very well this year. So I will go with Oregon State to get the win at home over Stanford. Next up, Oklahoma and West Virginia. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I think this is a very upset Oklahoma team after losing 2 straight games. I think they bounce back this week against West Virginia. Next up, Michigan State and Ohio State. This should be a good game here. I'm going to go with Ohio State to get the win at home. In the horseshoe, I think Ohio State's a much better team than Michigan State is right now. So I'll go with Ohio State at home over Michigan State. Next up, Texas and TCU. Should be a good game here. I'm going to go with Texas. I think Texas is probably the best team in the Big 12 right now. So I'm going to go with Texas at home on the road against TCU. Next up, Duke and North Carolina. This was basketball. I think a lot of people would be interested in this game. But this should be a good game in football this year as well. I'm going to go with Drake May and North Carolina to get the win here. I think North Carolina's been playing very well this year. Probably not good enough to make the ACC championship game this year, but still a very good season for North Carolina this year. So I'm going to go with North Carolina at home over Duke. Next up, USC and Oregon. Again, should be a shootout. Two very good quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Bo Nix, though, and Oregon to get the win. I think their defense is just much, much better than USC, so I'm going to go with Oregon at home over USC. And now the college game day game of the week. College game day will be there Saturday morning. As it'll be number 9 Ole Miss heading into Athens to take on number 2 Georgia. I'm going to go with Georgia at home. I think Georgia's been playing very well this year. So I'm going to take Georgia to get a win at home over Ole Miss. And now into the NFL games for the weekend. Should be a great weekend of NFL action. First game out tonight, I don't think a lot of people will be watching this game. It's going to be Bryce Young and the Panthers heading in to Chicago to take on the Bears. Give me Chicago at home. I think Chicago has been a little bit better this year than the Carolina Panthers. This is a win-win situation for the Bears here because they have their pick and they have the Panthers pick in next year's draft. So this is a win-win situation for Chicago here, but I'll take the Bears at home over the Panthers. Next up, the Tennessee Titans heading into Tampa to take on the Bucs, coming off a absolute choke job last week against the Texans. I'm going to take the Bucs one more time to get a win. I think this is the last week I'll pick them if they don't win here. I think the Bucs find a way to keep their season alive with a win at home over the Titans. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts going into Germany to take on the New England Patriots. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. I think the Colts have been playing much better this year than New England. So I'm going to go with the Colts on the road against the Patriots. Next up, the Houston Texans heading into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals to get the win here at home. I think the Bengals have been playing much better recently. Again, a slow start for Cincinnati this year, but now they're starting to get into a groove now. I'll take the Bengals at home over the Texans. Next up, the New Orleans Saints heading into Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I will take the New Orleans Saints on the road. I think the Saints are a better team right now than the Vikings. So give me the Saints out on the road against the Vikings. Next up, the Green Bay Packers heading into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the win here at home. I think they are the most surprising 5-3 team in the NFL. They've been outgained almost in every game, but it doesn't matter how many yards you get, it's how many points you have at the end of the game. I'll take the Steelers at home over the Packers. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers heading into Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Give me Brock Purdy and the Niners to get back on track. 70 degrees on Sunday at 1 o'clock on Sunday in Jacksonville. I'm going to go with Brock Purdy and the Niners to get the win on the road in Jacksonville against the Jags. Next up, the Cleveland Browns heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I will take the Ravens at home. I think the Ravens could be maybe one of the best teams in the AFC this year. So I'll take the Ravens at home over the Browns. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons heading into Arizona to take on the Cardinals, my apologies. I will take the Falcons to get a win here. I think the Falcons know they got to win out to have a chance to make the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Taylor Heinicke and the Atlanta Falcons to get the win on the road against the returning Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, the Detroit Lions heading into LA to take on the Chargers. Give me Jared Goff and the Lions to get the win here on the road. I think the Lions have been playing a very good season. Have been having a very good season this year. I'm going to take the Lions on the road against the Chargers. Next up, the New York Giants heading into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Give me Dak and the Cowboys to get back on track after a heartbreaking loss last week. I'll take Dak and the Cowboys to get a win at home over the Giants. Next up, the Washington Commanders heading into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I will take Seattle at home. I think Seattle's been playing very well this year. So I'll take the Seahawks at home over the Commanders. Next up, the New York Jets heading into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Sunday Night Football. I will take the Jets. I think the Jets have been playing very well this year. Very good season for Robert Saleh. I think Zach Wilson needs to play better than he did on Monday night. But I think he'll do better than he did last Monday. So I'll take the Jets on the road against the Raiders. Now into Monday Night Football, it'll be Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. I will take the Buffalo Bills to get a win here at home. 43 degrees in Buffalo on Monday night. I will take the Bills to get a win at home on Monday night against the Broncos. And the buys this week, if you have any fantasy teams, are the Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. So pretty much all your really good quarterbacks in fantasy football this week are on buys. So that means no Patrick Mahomes this week, no Tua, no Jalen Hurts, no Jalen Waddle, no Tyreek Hill, no Travis Kelce. So it should be an interesting week of fantasy football for all you fantasy football players out there. So that will do it for this episode of Scott's Weekend Sports. I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Weekend Sports. See you later, guys.